Hello, everyone. I hope and pray that you're doing well. Somebody asked me recently, what do you call a book club that's been stuck on one book for years? Church. We call it a church. Now, it seems to me that the Bible's not a bad thing to hold on to. There are other things that are not so great to hold on to. And so I think it's important to ask ourselves even today, what is it that we're holding on to? What are we clinging to? In Matthew 4, there's this simple verse about the first disciples. We read, "Immediately they left their nets and followed him," that is Jesus. Now, this is actually an amazing little verse. This is the response of Peter and Andrew when Jesus invited them to become disciples of his. And Jesus called to James and to John, and again we're told immediately they left the boat, their father, and followed Jesus. But why such radical choices? Did they all just kind of have like a really bad day at work, and were they looking to kind of get away from a hard job, so they said, let's just veer off in this direction? No, I think there's something more going on here. Because they left not only their jobs and their families, but even their very identities. They were betting everything on this Jesus. Now, maybe it's important to note from in the story that to follow Jesus, we too have to leave something behind. Often it can mean leaving behind some of our most cherished sources of identity and security. That's because we will never be free to receive the new things that Jesus has to give us until our hands have let go of the hopes that we have been clinging to. Now, different people cling to different things. I still cling to the hope that the Canucks will one day win the Stanley Cup. Now, maybe that's a desperate hope, and maybe it's a trivial hope, for sure. But there are much more serious things to which we cling. Some of us cling to anger or to hurts. We're just stuck with them, right? Others cling to these great expectations for how life is supposed to turn out, and it doesn't, and we're stuck clinging to those hopes. Still others kind of cling to the faith that we had as children, and then we're terrified of new experiences and new ways of thinking. Many of us want to see exactly where Jesus is leading us before we leave the comfortable places that we'd prefer to stay in. But even the disciples learned that the point of following Jesus isn't to get to somewhere else that's special, but simply to follow Jesus. It's Jesus who is placed in our empty hands. The peace of Christ be with you all.